Condensed milk is created by removing a large portion of the water from fresh milk until a thick, dense product remains. In sweetened condensed milk, sugar is added before concentration, which helps create the familiar rich taste and supports preservation. The result is a smooth, creamy liquid that can be stored for long periods without refrigeration when sealed properly. The process begins at dairy farms where milk is collected from cows using modern milking systems. These systems allow farmers to extract milk efficiently while maintaining hygienic conditions. Milking machines attach cups to the cow's teats and create gentle suction that mimics hand milking. This method allows many cows to be milked quickly and consistently. Milk can be collected from many cows quickly using modern milking machines. Once it leaves the cow, it must be cooled immediately because fresh milk supports bacterial growth. The milk is pumped into stainless steel tanks on the farm and chilled to about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. Cooling slows microbial activity and keeps the milk stable until transportation. At this stage, the milk is raw and contains water, fat globules, proteins, lactose, and minerals. Its composition can vary depending upon the cow's diet and health, so it cannot be used directly for condensed milk production. Clean equipment and sanitary storage are essential because contamination at the farm can affect later processing. Refrigerated tanker trucks collect the milk and transport it to a dairy processing plant. When the tanker arrives, samples are taken and tested before uploading. Technicians check fat content, salt balance, temperature, and signs of spoilage to ensure the milk meets quality standards. Once the milk passes inspection, it is pumped into large stainless steel storage tanks called silos. These tanks hold large volumes and supply the production line continuously. Milk arriving at the plant does not always contain the same amount of fat. To ensure consistent condensed milk, the composition must be standardized. This is done using a centrifugal separator that spins the milk at high speed. During spinning, heavier components move outward while lighter fat moves toward the center. The separator splits the milk into 2 streams. One contains cream with higher fat, while the other contains skim milk with much lower fat. The processor then blends these streams in precise amounts to achieve the desired fat level. Controlling fat content is important because it affects the texture and richness of condensed milk. Standardization ensures every batch has the same consistency before further processing begins. After the milk has been standardized to the correct fat level, it moves to pasteurization. This step reduces harmful microorganisms and stabilizes the milk before further processing. Because condensed milk will later be concentrated, controlling microbial activity earlier in the process is essential. Pasteurization heats milk to a controlled temperature to destroy harmful bacteria. The milk passes through a heat exchanger where it is raised to about 72 degrees Celsius. Then it moves through a holding tube for about 15 seconds, allowing the heat to eliminate most microorganisms. After heating, the milk is cooled quickly to around 3 degrees Celsius. Rapid cooling prevents surviving microbes from multiplying and keeps the milk stable for further processing. This process takes place in a closed system of pipes and heat exchangers to avoid contamination. Pasteurization mainly improves safety without significantly changing the milk structure. By reducing microbial activity early, it prepares the milk for later stages such as evaporation and storage. After pasteurization, sugar is added when producing sweetened condensed milk. Sugar adds sweetness and also helps preserve the product by limiting the water available for microbial growth. Sugar is added in measured amounts to reach the correct balance between milk solids and sweetness. In large mixing tanks, pasteurized milk is combined with granulated sugar, while agitators keep the mixing moving. Gentle heating helps the sugar dissolve completely. Even dissolution is important. If sugar crystals remain, they can grow during later stages and create a grainy texture. Proper mixing ensures a smooth and uniform solution before concentration begins. The mixture is heated and stirred until stable and homogeneous. At this stage, it still resembles milk, though slightly thicker due to the added solids. The main change occurs during evaporation. In this stage, much of the water is removed, leaving a concentrated mix of proteins, sugars, fats, and minerals. As water decreases, the liquid becomes thicker and richer. Evaporation takes place in large industrial evaporators where heat converts water in the milk into vapor. These systems operate under reduced pressure, which lowers the boiling point of water. This allows evaporation to occur at lower temperatures, preventing damage to the milk's flavor, color, and proteins. Inside the evaporator, the milk flows through vertical tubes surrounded by steam. The steam heats the outside of the tubes, transferring energy to the milk flowing inside. As the milk moves downward through these tubes, water begins to evaporate. The vapor rises and is removed from the system, while the liquid portion continues to circulate. With each pass through the evaporator, more water leaves the milk. The remaining mixture grows progressively thicker as the concentration of milk solids increases. Proteins, lactose, and fat particles become more densely packed in the liquid. This rising concentration produces the smooth, heavy consistency associated with condensed milk. By the end of evaporation, a large share of the original water has been removed. What remains is a dense dairy concentrate that has a creamy color, a rich flavor, and a noticeably thicker body than the milk that has entered the system. However, the texture still needs to be stabilized before packaging. After evaporation, the condensed milk is thick, but its internal structure still needs adjustment to ensure a smooth and stable texture. At this stage, the mixture passes through a homogenization system designed to distribute fat evenly throughout the liquid. Milk naturally contains fat in the form of microscopic droplets. If these droplets remain large, they can rise and separate from the liquid over time. Homogenization prevents the separation by forcing the condensed milk through extremely small openings under high pressure. As the liquid passes through these narrow passages, the fat droplets break into much smaller particles. These tiny droplets disperse evenly throughout the mixture and remain suspended in the liquid. The result is a more stable product with a uniform appearance and texture. Homogenization also improves mouthfeel. Smaller fat droplets create a smoother sensation when the condensed milk is poured or eaten. This stage ensures that the product remains creamy rather than separating into layers during storage. In addition to fat distribution, factories also control cooling conditions to prevent unwanted sugar crystallization. Proper handling during this phase helps maintain the glossy appearance and smooth consistency expected in condensed milk. After homogenization, the condensed milk is ready for packaging. At this stage, the product has reached the desired concentration and texture, but it must be protected from contamination before it can be distributed. Packaging, therefore, takes place in a controlled environment using sterilized containers and automated filling equipment. Before filling begins, the cans or containers are cleaned and sterilized. This step eliminates any microorganisms that may be present on the surfaces of the packaging. Sterilization is usually performed with heat, steam, or chemical sanitation methods that prepare the containers for direct contact with the product. Once sterilized, the containers move along conveyor systems toward the filling machines. These machines are designed to dispense a precise amount of condensed milk into each container. Pumps and valves control the flow of the thick liquid so that every unit receives the correct volume. Accurate filling is important for product consistency and ensures that all cans meet the required weight specifications. The condensed milk is transferred from processing tanks through enclosed pipes into the filling equipment. Because the product is already concentrated and viscous, the filling system must regulate flow carefully to avoid air pockets or uneven distribution. Automated systems maintain a steady pace, allowing thousands of containers to be filled in a short time. Immediately after filling, the containers are sealed. Metal lids are pressed tightly onto the cans to create an airtight enclosure. This hermetic seal prevents outside air, moisture, and microorganisms from entering the product. At this point, the condensed milk is fully enclosed within its final package, ready for the last stage of processing that ensures long shelf life. Even though the milk has already been pasteurized earlier in production, a final heat treatment is applied after packaging to guarantee long-term safety. This step sterilizes the sealed containers and eliminates any remaining microorganisms that could spoil the product during storage. The sealed cans are loaded into large pressure chambers known as autoclaves. Inside these chambers, steam and heat are applied under carefully controlled conditions. The combination of heat and pressure destroys bacteria, yeasts, and molds that might survive early stages of processing. This treatment also stabilizes the product so it can remain safe for extended periods without refrigeration. The temperature and duration of the sterilization cycle are precisely controlled to ensure that the milk is preserved without damaging its flavor or texture. After the heating stage, the containers are gradually cooled. Cooling prevents excessive pressure inside the cans and helps preserve the consistency of the condensed milk. Once cooled, the cans move through inspection systems that check the integrity of the seals and verify that each container meets quality standards. The completed cans are then labeled and packed into cartons for distribution. Through sterilization and airtight packaging, the condensed milk becomes a shelf-stable product that can be stored for long periods while maintaining its thick texture and rich taste.